Thank you guys for watching the Creativity in Quarantine video. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself and say who you are and what you love to create.
Okay, well, I can go because I'm the oldest, obviously. Okay, I'm a photographer, so my camera is my tool. I love to create art with my camera. You know, even if you're quarantined and social isolation, there's still things you can do with your camera. So,
And who are you?
oh, sorry, Roxanne Westman. Thank you, Cody.
I'm Lorraine Storer, and let's see, I like all different kinds of art. To do all different kinds of things. My main thing that I love doing is painting. I like painting. Anything from like sewing to drawing to organizing. I actually think that's fun, and I can find creative ways to do it for sure. Like, yeah.
My name is U.S. Jones II. My creativity generally takes two mediums, the form of two mediums. I like brainstorming about different forms of technology, how to make them better, and things like that. That's always been a passion of mine, and it's something I'm seeking more and more to find an outlet for. And another is music. When I was in my 20s, I kind of kept to myself, but music was a way that God and I could talk. And so, yeah, I would just spend hours playing and replaying the same things over and over, adding things, cutting things out, and yeah.
I'm Cody, and I also love music, writing it and playing it, and I also love art. And again, with technology and stuff too, I like doing stuff with technology and creating digital things. I think is cool as well. Game design is one of them. We've all been spending a lot of extra time at home probably, and the first question I want to ask is, what are some ways that you've been staying creative at home in this time?
One of the best ways for me I found to stay creative is to basically do what we're doing now, talk with other people, share your ideas, write them down, and yeah, bounce them off of people, get their feedback, and yeah, take it from there. Kind of a hidden blessing of being in this time. You being able to connect with people and their willingness. You've basically got a captive audience.
A lot of cleared schedules.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of different things during this time being creative, but none of the things that are my traditional forms of art. One thing's easy, like just singing with Eli. I mean, he's 4, but he has like amazing pitch. And so it's been really fun to take time to like teach him songs, and he'll like, you can hit any note and he'll hit that note. It's just kind of cool. So that kind of thing, creating like a homeschool curriculum with Juliet about fossils, that was really fun. But for myself, I actually went animal shopping. It is spring. I told the kids, I'm like, hey, we're in quarantine here and we gotta like start conserving. We're gonna make this fun because of course, you know, quarantine's not fun. So let's make it fun. And of course they like things like Little House on the Prairie and some of those older shows like that. So I bought 3 goats and I bought 15 little chicks, and we're like starting our spring farm here. Kittens, the whole thing, and just making it really fun. Just, I don't know, that kind of creativity. And also I did organize my pantry. It's beautiful. It's got to be beautiful. That's part of art, right? Just making the pantry look awesome.
Well, I don't have, you know, kids around, so it's been different and so quiet. You know, I haven't hardly been able to see my grandkids and stuff. So I've been learning new techniques. I know a lot about my camera, but it's the editing, you know, my darkroom, which actually is Photoshop. So I've been teaching myself a lot of different creative ways to do things, and actually just some different ways to take pictures called focus stacking. So you get more detail in your image. So I've been using the time to learn and create art, more graphic art with my photography than actual just photographs. I miss my grandkids so much, so I try and keep them engaged somehow. And our tradition has always been that grandma plays an April Fool's joke on them all the time. Well, this year we couldn't because we're all in social isolation. So I created, I don't know, some fun little thing that I took to their house, and of course had to leave it on the porch. So, but still, it was creating something for them. You know, it's so hard when you're by yourself. Well, I'm not by myself. I have my husband here, but I like to do things for others. And you can't go out and take family pictures. You can't do that right now. So I've been creating things for friends. And yesterday I did May baskets for the neighborhood kids and or neighbor kids, and then my grandkids. So it's just fun to try and think of ways to, help others rather than just yourself all the time.
I agree with what Roxy said too, and that's been something that's like big in this too. Is like I've been telling the kids that so many people don't have a family to be around. Like my mom right now, she's at home alone, and she has been dealing with cancer for a year now, and so she's still on chemo. She can't go anywhere because of the risk for her. Mm-hmm. She's home alone. My sister only lives 3 miles down the road from her with her 4 children, but my mom still can't chance seeing them because of virus. But anyways, so what I ended up doing for her, same thing as like what Roxy was talking about, was in doing things for other people, was I went together with my brother and my sister, and we bought her an iPad. And of course my mom doesn't do anything with technology, so I had to like make a booklet for her of like pictures, page by page, exactly what steps to take to get onto Zoom. She didn't even know how to like get onto the internet. Created a Zoom room for her, so she only goes into one room. We all have the exact same thing, so all the grandkids, everybody like can go into that room, and all day long the grandkids are in and out visiting with each other, and grandma can just come in. She can talk with them, or she can just like sit there and watch. She doesn't even have to talk. Sometimes her voice is too weak to talk, but she doesn't feel alone. It's like we're there in the same room as her. Roxy was saying, doing things for other people, it creates that joy in you. And it might not be like normally like what I'm doing with painting and singing and stuff, but that creativity, like how can you make other people happy during this time? That was one of the things that we did. Awesome point, Roxy.
Yeah, and it's cool to be able to use your, creativity to be able to bring people joy and stuff too. That's kind of a fulfilling thing. For myself, just doing a little more musically with my own personal projects and stuff. I've written a couple new songs in this time, and taken time to actually finish them. Usually I'll start a song, do the intro, and then be done, but I've actually finished a couple, so that's been nice. It's kind of refocused me a little bit on that, and I like that. Along with that, there are some challenges of being home and being in isolation. I mean, one of them is kind of like, maybe you're seeing the same things every day. Sometimes, to keep your creative mind flowing, it's nice to see some new things or network, as you pointed to earlier. What are some of the challenges that you guys have run into with being creative lately in this time?
Having a wealth of time. Sometimes one of my barriers to creativity is I'm kind of a perfectionist. So if I anticipate something's not going to turn out just perfectly, I will put off starting it. So I remember in college, one of my friends said that when you have when you have an assignment or homework, suddenly you discover the joys of cleaning, and it's amazing all the 1,000,001 things you can find to do that aren't creative in the way that you've been saying. Well, if I had time, I would tackle it. But yeah,
I think with that wealth of time, as you're saying, and maybe a perfectionist, that can lead to procrastination pretty easily.
Like I said before, I have so much time on my hand now. So maybe sometimes that's a challenge in itself, having so much time. And then it's like, oh, what could I work on now? I've washed my windows, which I probably haven't done for a couple of years. I've organized closets and drawers and things that make you feel good. So, but what I said before is I'm learning some new things, more graphic art with my photography. And that's a challenge in itself because I'm kind of like I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And if I can't get it right, then I'll just put it away for a while and then come back to it again. But that's been one of my biggest challenges, is learning more about the deep secrets of Photoshop and more of the graphic design part than just the photography part. So
How do you feel like that's going? Trying out that new technique.
I like it because I wanted to do it for such a long time, and now I've had the time to do it. I do like it. So I feel that I'm, learning and growing, and I even bought myself chalk and watercolor pencils. So even been doing some of that. I'm not very good. So that's been my biggest challenge, is trying to pick that back up again. I think everyone should try maybe new things, because you just don't know. If you had it in your heart that you've always wanted to try it, well, this is the time to try it now. Even though you might think it's a big challenge and the big roadblock in front of you, sometimes we just have to push through those things and learn from it.
My life hasn't changed actually that much.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, it's been a blessing for me. I already homeschooled my kids. They were home all the time anyways. I already worked from home. I would still go see clients, but I'm a nurse, so I still have to go see my clients. But for the most part, all of the computer stuff I do, it's all from home anyways. The only change that I have really had is two things. One, I am not able to go to church or meet with people. And my schoolwork has really picked up, because since I can't do clinicals, they have made it so we have a lot more papers and stuff due right now. So life really hasn't changed that much, but in having to kind of build up other people, like for my mom, it's changed a lot. For my sister, it's changed a lot. And some of my coworkers and things, finding ways to build up other people and doing Zoom coffee dates or things like that have been kind of creative in a way, another creative way to communicate with people. I have an art studio in my house, so it's it's full of supplies. So then I just tell the kids hey, go down there. So now that's a mess. I'm trying to make it more fun, because they can't go see their friends and things either. So in having that kind of stuff, the house has become a little bit more messy in areas that normally are then it's not beautiful, right? It's a mess. But otherwise, life really hasn't changed that much. I've been spoiled, I guess.
I probably agree with US as far as the challenges. Sometimes that huge amount of time, and you've got all maybe these creative projects in your mind on the back burner, and then you try to throw a bunch of them forward at once. Yeah, sometimes that wealth of time can be an obstacle almost if you're not focused enough. There's a lot of things to distract in this time. I guess along with that, are there any good resources you guys have found, like books or websites or any tools? I mean, I guess Roxanne has mentioned the new Photoshop tools that she's been using. Any other ones that you guys have been really enjoying lately, or have you found to help your creative process?
I mean, it's stuff I've always had. I had this book for a couple of years, and I finally opened it. So,
Yeah.
So if you're trying to learn things, you do need something to go through. And our internet these days is just a wealth of information. YouTube, if people want to learn things, or even if they want to get challenged to try something new, there's so many websites out there, Pinterest and Etsy, to learn how to, do new things. So keep your kids interested. Goodness, we're in such a amazing age right now with the technology.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that Roxy said, just she already had the book, she opened it, I have a beautiful piano and I hardly ever play it, but now I played more. It's not that I have more time now than I did before, because I still do all the same things, but the kids now have piano lessons from home over Zoom. And that's them doing their piano lessons has been inspiring to me. I'm oh, I should just play. It doesn't matter that it's only 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I should just play. And it's just been really enjoyable. Actually, my international student that I have, Mimi, came up one day and she's that was you? She's I didn't even know you played. And I'm yeah, but not too often. So that's been nice to rediscover what you already have. I think a lot of people have things all over their house that that would be creative, or ways to express themselves, or just bring joy, and they just don't use what they have. Another thing has been what I think most people have been using, Zoom. I never really used Zoom before this, and now it's been the main thing is Zoom. So that's been awesome.
I agree with what Lorraine was saying. You guys are inspiring me, making me feel a little guilty, but yeah, inspiring me too. Because I too have an instrument. Thank God, a very nice couple gifted us at our wedding with an instrument that I can play, and I haven't been doing it. So yeah, that's one of the nice things that's also coming out of this as well. not only time, but other people realizing it and encouraging you to use your gifts and to grow and to step out.
Well, and I have one more comment too about resources. Like Lorraine said, Zoom has been such a wonderful tool. I had never used it before, but now I Zoom with my grandkids. They're like 11 and 12 years old, so I see lots of faces and dances and stuff. They like to entertain grandma, but it is such a cool tool. My granddaughter and I, we did our trying to challenge them to give them something to do, because two of my grandkids go to school in the Fargo public schools, and they're done with school by noon. So they have all afternoon of boredom. So we painted our nails. We, we soaked our nails, and we did a pedicure, and, just trying different things for them. And Kids Messenger, to try and keep in contact with some of the kids, or call each other, call our church family up on the phone and just say how they're doing, which is kind of cool too, because some people maybe don't have anyone around. So those are really good resources to go to.
When you said that, just like seeing like your grandkids and stuff, and like even painting your nails on Zoom, it's kind of funny to like do some of the normal things, but it's like in a more creative way, just because we're in this different time period right now. The other day, Eli had his pajamas on and he was bugging me, and I had an appointment because now our appointments are at home. We don't go places, we do them on Zoom. And so I had an appointment and I needed him to quit for a little bit to kind of leave me alone, but he's 4. And so I just used some creativity. I looked at him and he has pajamas on, and I'm like, are you going to a pajama party? And he's like, what's that? And Juliet had her pajamas on, and this is maybe like 6:30 at night. I think they'd had a bath probably from being outside and dirty. And I was like, you guys are having a pajama party? And it's like, you should ask Violet if she wants to come. And Violet didn't have her clothes on, and Eli started pushing her, get your jammies on. And then Eden comes, and it's like, what's going on? And Eli's like, we're having a pajama party. And I told Eden what to get out, different food and stuff. And she goes, Mom, are we having supper? And I'm like, it's a pajama party. So they basically had supper in their pajamas, and he was like, he left me alone. I had my meeting. It was all fine. Just like having to be more creative. They think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of the theme here is like, maybe not going out and getting new tools in this time, but just opening your eyes to the tools that you have around you to be creative.
Yeah, it's cool how this maybe isn't like the best thing, the COVID virus, but it's like, if we look at it right, God brings us to be able to be grateful for what we have. Yeah. Like I see a drum set in the background there. You know what I mean? Like, and you said that you've had like songs that you're writing. Roxy's got books playing around, US has a lot of time, and things and instruments, and just realizing that we have so much to be grateful for. We just don't usually use it. Everybody has that. Everybody has things around their place to be grateful for,
What has inspired you lately?
Believe it or not, sometimes just to get out of the apartment, to get some vitamin D and have some fresh air, my wife and I take walks, and large parts of the city are deserted, which is great. I mean, especially for social distancing, but it also gives us the chance to see, take pictures of, say, stores where they're very popular usually, but now they're empty, and so we can take my wife's rediscovering her love of photography, and she's taking pictures and sending it to all of our relatives, and hey, thought you would never see this in the parking lot at the mall and that's like that. But being able to see things differently in terms of just less people being around, and also it's spring too, so that's nice.
Yeah. For me, I would say it's been inspiring just to see people connecting, and there's kind of this worldwide unification in a way. I mean, there's division in parts, but seeing people kind of come together under maybe one global challenge has been kind of inspiring. Mm-hmm. And seeing the creative ways that people have been staying connected. I think that's cool, and I think that's inspiring. I hope it changes the world for the better, even though it's a terrible thing to happen.
It's interesting too. I think my wife and I are kind of subconsciously compiling a list of things we'll be doing once we are able to get back together. At the At the top of my wife's list is hugs. Hugs.
Now, maybe just to add on to what you said, Cody, it has been inspiring to see all of the, if you go to Facebook, when it first happened, all of the families were putting the hearts in their window. It's kind of unified a lot of neighborhoods. And another thing that is so cool is my grandson in Fargo plays soccer, and one of his soccer mates had a birthday. So of course you can't have birthday parties. So all of his whole soccer team did the drive-by for the birthday party. So that's so cool to see. It just inspires me how some of the families and how some of the parents have to think differently to help their kids be more creative and stay connected to their classmates, their teachers.
I agree with what you guys said about like seeing like the different things that people have done in ways of connecting and stuff. That's been really inspiring. And just I think looking for ways to bring joy to people has been like, just, I don't know, like, when you can bring that smile to their face, like when I don't know, some of the dumb things I do, like my niece and nephew are learning how to read. And so then just like getting them books and on like just cheap books on that are at the reading level on like Amazon. And then my sister Zoomed to me and they opened their books, and just in the mail, and just finding new ways to bless people has been like really inspiring, and just seeing the joy on their face. I don't know. It makes you want to do it again.
The snowball effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has God been working in your life in terms of creativity or not? Even if you just, how has God been working in your life?
This one I know. I'm naturally an optimistic person. I usually find positive things, like, I don't know, I guess I was just thinking in crisis, like, how can we thrive in this? How can we make it great no matter what's happening? And I have realized that, well, I guess I knew for a long time that not everybody's positive. Some people see like the more negative side of things, or like, as my brother says, the realist side of things. And in like, when I was talking to Troy about that, he's like, oh, that's just like the Israelites in the wilderness. And he was talking about how when there was plenty of things they could be grateful for, and plenty of things that they actually legitimately had to complain about. I'm sure manna sucked, but at the same time, what came down to it in the end was their attitude. Like the ones that had the bad attitude over and over and over, even if there was legit reasons for it, they eventually ended up getting cut out when they went to the Jordan, and it was like time for the spies to go in. The 10 spies with like the hopelessness, no, we can't do this, God's not good enough, or big enough, whatever, made it so that the rest of them all had to suffer. Bad attitudes went before everything constantly. It talks about the grumbling and complaining. And the ones that had the positive outlook, which you look at the 2 spies that actually had the positive outlook in there, it was because they had hope, and they had hope in Jesus. And so then when you're thinking about it, yeah, they wandered for another 40 years, but then when these people are ready to cross again, then I think it was Joshua that said to them, basically, I set before you life and death. And he's like telling the people who, like, you think the majority of the time they're the ones that at least kept their grumbling and complaining themselves. They mostly probably had an optimistic outlook or kept their mouth shut. He's telling them, I set before you these 2 things. You have a choice, and then they're crossing. He's basically saying you can prosper or not. And it really has a lot to do with your choices and your attitude going forward. And it made me realize that's me. I may naturally have an optimistic outlook on things, but I still have a choice every day. It doesn't always go before me. Sometimes like the complaining comes out, and I'd have to remember that I could very easily fall into that trap too. And how it just like, I guess I'm blessed that I'm mostly think optimistically, but at the same time, like I have to keep that guard over myself too. That's what God's been teaching me.
Yeah.
We have lots to be grateful for.
Yeah. It could go really deep, but I think mostly it's trying to, how can we use this time to serve others creatively? Whether it might be on Zoom, whether it might be with letters. I've heard where some people are writing letters to like people in nursing homes. For me, it's like, what can I do to help others? And it's really hard because we're in this period of social isolation. You can't go see people, you can't touch them. So that that's a challenge. And then, but it's on my heart. So I know God's working on something where I can help others other than just a May basket or an April Fool's joke. So
for me, it's like God's telling the whole world to slow down and to to not just be in greater, and not just view it as isolation, but to be able to reach out to Him and to other people. And so, keeping that in our knowledge from day to day. My wife and I, sometimes we just stop and we have just silence and just try to feel the presence of the Lord. And also too, thankfully it's corresponding right around spring cleaning time. So we're spending time finding what areas of our life do we need to pray over more? What areas of our life does God want to speak more to us in, and to be able to, that's, I suppose, a little bit creative too. But what part of our lives do we need more of God in, and how can we inject Him into that and to keep Him into our knowledge day by day, step by step? So,
What's God been teaching you, Cody?
I think in this time it's been priorities and the things that are important, because there's a lot of things in my life that stopped, but life still continues. And it's like you kind of can step back and see only the essential things are out there right now. I feel like He's been kind of teaching me what's a priority. How I'm going to respond to that is kind of up to me, I guess. But He has put it in front of me to learn, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Because as I said before, my life didn't really change that much. But I think that perspective that you have about it being, what are the priorities? This whole thing has kind of made it come to the forefront, because even though my life didn't change a whole lot, I see my kids a lot more. I'm like, oh, okay. I played soccer with them yesterday in the backyard. I'm like, I don't even have time to play soccer. But at the same time, it was like, I saw my kids. I saw the priority that was before me. And I don't know. I think that it's a reset for a lot of people. There's so many things to be grateful for in this. And even if it is just a reset of our minds.
Yeah.
And it's really made me miss church a lot. I don't think that I realized that I needed that connection as much as before. And I actually suck at technology, so I don't even know how to log in to listen to the sermons on Sunday. Maybe you can send me a tutorial on that. And I'm thinking, if that's me, and
Make a booklet.
Yeah, I need a booklet.
I miss hearing everybody's voices singing in worship time. That's probably the biggest thing I miss. But
I miss our small group joshing around and talking about our lives, and just bringing all of our perspectives into a room and seeing how different people view different events that are happening, or different things that they may notice that I completely miss. I really miss that. So,
and it's funny, there's a safety, and I'm sitting in my office and there's nobody here with me, and there's actually just a couple people of you, and so I can speak my mind and I can say stuff that I have been learning, and it feels safer to me in a way. So there's a good part of it too. I could probably joke around on Zoom and in a way that I can't do in front of the entire church, even if I know people are going to see it later. It just feels safer.
Yeah, I can edit out all of your swear words. I'm just kidding.
Yep.
But yeah, it is. And it's cool. I mean, I don't think the four of us have ever sat down at a table and had a conversation before.
yeah.
But this opportunity has kind of brought us together in some way, which I think is cool.
I think a lot of people put creativity in a box, and they think it has to be very traditional art stuff, but it's not. Everybody, I think, is creative in different ways, and in this time, it's a blessing to learn how to use that.
Yeah, whether it's writing music or using Photoshop or integrating technology, or making a iPad instructional manual.
Yeah.
Developing a pajama party with supper.
Yeah. Using that creativity that the Lord has blessed everyone with in some way, especially in this time when we can kind of stop and refocus.
So yeah, if I ever need professional photos done, I can go to Roxanne, ask her to retouch me a little bit.
Sure, anytime.
Cool. Yes.
Thank you guys for taking the time to have this conversation, and I hope that people that are listening are encouraged, maybe got some new ideas. I appreciate you guys taking the time. So
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you, Cody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.